Alright. TM55277 War Department Technical Manual Operation Railroads Maintenance of Signals. June 1945. Chapter 2, Signal Maintenance and Rules. Section 1, General Rules. Rule 1. The commanding officer or personnel who has the duties prescribed herein provided with each of the copy with its manual as so the copy TM55281 when published. Personnel whose specific duties require it will be also be provided with a copy of TM55280 when published. Rule 2. Signal apparatus will also be installed and maintained to ensure safe operation of trains. Rule 3. Correct track layout plan, circuit plan, locking sheets, dog chart will be maintained in a good condition at each of the interlocking stations, each place where there is use required. 4. Maintenance. Repair work which will interfere with the safe movement of trains will not be started until the train movement has been fully protected. Temporary repairs or adjustments when required will be made in such a manner that the safety operation will not be impaired. Rule 5. Defective apparatus, defective parts will be replaced properly and proper recorded made such replacements. Rule 6. Circuits will not be opened, shunted, or other action taken which will cause the operation of the signal and other apparatus at a time when such action will affect the safety of the train operation. Rule 7. In the event of a severe storm, an inspection of the track circuits will be made as soon as practical and any trouble will be corrected. Rule 8. In the event of accident in which signal apparatus or other control device is concerned, through examination will be made immediately of all the parts involved with the result of such indication recorded. Rule 9. In the event of failure, damage of the apparatus which cannot be repaired immediately, which may affect safety of operation of the train, signal, and the other controlling devices will be arranged and provide protection until the condition is corrected. Rule 10. When broken rail, widened gauge, and any other condition is discovered which may affect safety train of the operation, action will be taken immediately to protect the train by flag signals or other controlling devices. Record will be made of the defects and repairs made as quick as possible. Rule 11. Signals and other controlling devices will be arranged to provide protection when the rail is being laid or on other tracks that changes and maybe which will render the track unsafe passage of the train. The signal and other controlling devices will be not restored or in normal operation until the proper test has been made and is now known that the equipment is functioning as intended and the track is safe of passage of the train. Rule 12. Circuits will be kept free of the grounds which may be interfered with proper operation. Rule 13. Outside signal instrument cases will be locked unless they otherwise ordered. Proper power interlocking machine cabinets, time release electrical locks will be locked and sealed. Rule 14. When repair and adjustment, change and replacements is made with any part of the section this may affect for the operation of the system, tests will be made immediately to determine the proper operation as assured. Rule 15. Normal functioning of an electrical device will not be interrupted mechanical means or by means of any other form of energy without proper precautions to ensure safe operation of the train. Rule 16. All signal apparatus will be installed and maintained that it will not constitute a source of danger to trainmen, signalmen, or other personnel. Section 2. Automatic block signals. Rule 17. Signal masts will be installed with the vertical position secure fastened with a suitable support with the signal alignment to give the best possible indication for the approaching train. Signals be relocated to avoid as far as possible liability mistaking the indication of one signal for the indication of another. Confusion between the signals and other lights. Rule 18. Signal blade, lens, rondels, glasses, lamps will be cleaned as often necessary to ensure indications. Rule 19. Lamp brackets will be securely fastened to all parts of the lamp will clear speculate not less than 1/2 inch. Rule 20. Laddering, hand railing, platform will be secure, fastened, and maintained in good condition. Rule 21. Movable parts and signal will operate freely under the weather conditions. Rule 22. Sophomore spectacle casting will result against the stop provided for the purpose of allowing the slot arms and vertical connections to be free from downward pressure when most restricted position. Rule 23. Sophomore signals will not be placed in service until the bearings have been cleaned, oiled, dirt, and grease removed from the armature poles of the slot magnets and the gears, and all parts lubricated, preferably after an electrical torque test has been made. Rule 23. Bearings will be lubricated periodically and kept free of grit and dirt. Rule 25. Mechanism will be kept in proper adjustment. Excessively worn defective parts will be replaced. Rule 26. Slot equivalent devices will release the voltage reduced to less than release voltage from which such apparatus is designed. Rule 27. An air gap between the movable fixed members of the slot and retaining device will not be less than a minimum for which the apparatus is designed. Movable and fixed members of slot retaining devices will be kept free of the grease and oil and dirt. Rule 28. Electrical contacts will be kept clean in the proper adjustment. Rule 29. Wires will be arranged so that they will not interfere with operating parts of the mechanism. Rule 30. Signals will be snubbed to eliminate the undue strain of the mechanism. Buffers will be cleaned and lubricated once each year, repacked or refilled as often as necessary to maintain proper buffing. Rule 31. Armature single motor will not have excessive loss of motion, and bearings clearance between the rotating stationary parts will be adequate to ensure proper operation. Rule 32. Slot toggle adjustment will not be changed from its original setting. The signal employing toggle arrangement. Toggle and slot arms will be replaced if an adjustment changes due to wear. Rule 33. Slot magnet and armature will have the sufficient end play to allow the armature to seat firmly against the pole of the face of the core pins under all conditions. Rule 34. Slot armature side play measured by the lower end of the armature will not exceed 1/8 of an inch. Rule 35. Tooth disc motor armature pawl with the retaining mechanism will be replaced when worn and butted. Worn or bird. Rule 36. In signal of the searchlight type relay mechanism will be maintained in accordance with the rules 118 and 120. Exclusively so far the rules apply. Rule 37. In light signals other than searchlight type, no changes will be made with the original setting within internal parts, including lamp receptacle, except that those provisions have been made with the focusing. Rule 38. Action will be taken to prevent phantom indications from reflected sources. Rule 39. Deflecting prisms will be assembled and maintained to spread the light in proper direction. Rule 40. The apparatus will be installed in circuits so arranged for the failure to any of the part with the same affecting the safety train operating will cause all signals affected to give most restrictive indications required by condition. Rule 41. Signals be located preferably on the right and adjoining with the track to which they refer. Rule 42. Signal indication will be given with the position of sophomore colored light or both, and single white light will not be used for the preceding indication. Rule 43. Signals will be spaced at least stop distance, and part will not be spaced. An equivalent stopping distance will be provided with 2 or more signals arranged to display restrictive indications approaching signal where such indications are required. Rule 44. Signals will be automatically controlled by the continuous track circuits on main track and on other tracks where medium speed is permitted. Rule 45. Signals governing the movement over which the switch will be controlled with the proper restrictive indications displayed, which will when such switch is not proper position. Rule 46. On-track signal for movements in both directions. Signals will be arranged and controlled that the proper restrictive indications are provided to protect both following opposing movements. Alright, Rule 47. Circuits will be so installed that the failure of any of the part of the circuit affecting the control of the signal will not result in the signal displaying a more favorable indication than intended. Each signal governing the train movement into the block will display in proper restrictive indication. When a train engine car is in a block, a switch is misplaced or in points in proper position. 3. An independent operated following point derail or equipped with a switch circuit controller and is misplaced with non-derailing position. 4. Track circuit signal control relay de-energized position. Each of the signal governing the train movement into the block signal will be displayed in proper indication of the approaching train when to proceed when there's no train engine or car in block. All switches independently operated following the points of the derails equipped with the switch circuit controllers are in normal position. 3. All tracks and signal control relays are energized in position. Rule 48. Signal control relay circuit will not be broken through contacts of switch, station, tower, indicator, or annunciator in which the indication element is attached to the armature. Rule 49. Battery or other power supply for signal control relay circuit will be established at the end of the circuit farthest from the relay. Rule 50. Signal control relay will be controlled with the track circuits extending through the entire block. Rule 3. Section 3. Interlocking. Rule 51. The apparatus will be installed and circuits are arranged that the failure of any part of the system affecting the safety of the train's operation will cause all signals affected to give the most restrictive indications when conditions require. Rule 52. Signals will be located preferably to the right and of the adjoining track to which they refer. Rule 53. Signal indication will be given the position with the colored lights on both. The signal white light will not be used for the preceding indications. Rule 54. Approaching home signal will be spaced at the least stopping distance apart where not spaced, and equivalent stopping distance will provide by 2 or more signals arranged with display restrictive indications. Approaching home signals and the indication of which require the restrictive indication. Rule 55. The track circuits will be provided through the interlocking limits except for otherwise authorized. Rule 56. Signal governing movements over the switches, movable point frogs, derails will be so controlled that the indications perceived can be displayed only when such units are in proper position. Rule 57. Mechanical locking ensure the predetermined order of lever movement and circuits and ensure the proper correlation of the units interlocking will be provided. Rule 58. Signals which were part of the automatic block signal will be controlled semi-automatically except with automatic interlockings. Rule 59. Approaching time lock will be provided with the connection signal governing movements of the high or medium speed. Rule 60. Electric switching locking will be provided except with otherwise authorized. Rule 61. Facing point lock and switch lock movements will be provided with mechanically operated switch movement, movable point frogs, and split point derails. Alright. Rule 62. Power switch operation locking mechanism on the operated interlocking will be provided with the means to indicate interlocking machine or to the operative when movements completed of any unit is locked, and circuits will be provided to ensure proper correlation of all units' automatic interlockings. Rule 63. Indication locking equivalent will be provided with the approaching signal sophomore type of the power operated home signals and manually operated interlocking. Rule 64. An automatic interlocking circuits will be arranged so that when the train enters the approaching circuit, simultaneously preceding indication of home signal for conflicting routes can be displayed at the same time. Rule 65. Approaching signals will be installed automatically. Interlocking operating an approach signal will be provided within the authorized train speed between the home signals exceeding 20 miles per hour. Rule 66. Automatic interlocking will be so arranged that the home signal has been cleared, the route has not been used. If there is a train approaching section of such the route, home signal to the conflicting route can be cleared only after expiration predetermined time arrival. Rule 67. Proceed. Control circuit for the automatic interlocking with the home signal will be broken through the relays. All track circuits between the home signals on the same interlocking track. Intersecting track through the signal mechanism contacts, relay contacts. Repeat stop indications for the conflicting routes through normal contacts and time release for the conflicting routes. Rule 68. The controlling apparatus to automatic interlocking, especially manually operated with the time release, will be located with the distance for the tracks to avoid damage. Manually operated time release will be located adjacent to the tracks and point where the personnel have obstructed the views of each of the route. Rule 69. When a movable bridge is protected with the interlocking provision, it will be made to ensure the movements of the bridge device succeed to each other to determine the order with the movable span tracks and switches with the interlocking limits are locked in proper position. Rule 70. Rule 70. Movable bridge will be equipped with a mechanism to surface the line of the bridge with the track accurately fastened and secured in position. Rule 71. 1-inch pipe or larger equivalent will be used with the connection of switch, derail, and movable point frog lock, a bridge operating a locking device, mechanically operated signal. Pipes will be screwed into the coupling units until the end of the then riveted securely. Pipeline will be in alignment, properly compensated, supported on the carrier's space not more than 8 feet apart with a tangent curve of 2 degrees not more than 7 feet apart, and a curve 2 degrees or more apart. Couplings in a pipeline will not be foul carriers within levered any position. Rule 72. Lever lockers of the force drop type equivalent will be used for the new installation and making replacements for the interlocking machines. Rule 73. Interlocking control machine switching movements, other appurtenances will be kept in good condition, free from excess loss of motion, rust, grease, and dirt. Levers locking will be kept clean. All bearings will be kept lubricated. Excessive lubrication will be avoided. Bolts, dowel pins will be kept tighter, and cotter pins properly spread. Sufficient tension maintained in the latches. Springs contacts will be cleanly and properly adjusted. Rule 74. Proper measures will be taken to protect the train movements until the plant is restored to normal operation. Mechanical locking interlocking machine is to be changed with removed, but the machine locking bay becomes disarranged and broken. Rule 75. Switches will be also maintained that they cannot be locked with 1/4-inch rod and is placed between the stock rail and edge switch point of 6 inches from the point of the switch. Locking edges will be kept square. Rule 76. Cranks, compensators, and other mechanical connections will work freely with a non-excessive loss of motion of moving parts. They will be kept clean, lubricated, and properly centered in alignment. Rule 77. Holes in the lock rod will have the square edge of the holes not more than 1/8 of an inch larger than the plunger. 7/8. Plunger of the facing point will have the least 8-inch stroke whenever the lever is normally positioned. The end plunger will clearly lock rod by 1 inch. The ender of the plunger will have the square edges. Rule 79. Bolt lock will be so maintained that the signals governing movements over the switch. Derailment cannot be cleared with derailing position when the switch point is open 1/4 inch or more. When the bolt lock is used with the lieu of the facing point lock, 1/2 inch or more of switch derail is otherwise protected. Signal bar will be against the stop when signal lever is normal. Notch slabs will have square edges. Rule 80. Driving bar of the switch lock movement will travel both normal, reverse, and so the locking dog will pass through the lock rod 1/2 inch or more. Alright, Rule 81. Disconnecting will be done with the crank nearest to the unit necessary to disconnect the switch and derail other unit. Area 82. And distribution will be maintained so the leakage in any section of the plant will not exceed 1 pound in 1 minute for normal pressure that would apparatus connected with the rest. 83. Air restrainer used between the air distribution system and air apparatus will be cleaned frequently enough to avoid air pressure reduction. 84. Valve cylinders will be inspected and tested surface application air pressure with the apparatus for the rest. That will be done frequently enough to ensure the parts of the clean, packing tight, air supplied restricted, apparatus functionally efficiently. Switch and signal valves and cylinders will be removed from the surface and repaired in the shop. Rule 86. Condenser tank reservoirs air distribution lines will be drained frequently enough to avoid overflow with the condensation of the branch line apparatus. Means of the drain condensation out of the distribution system will be provided with the maintained low points. Rule 87. Overload relay magnet brake of the electronic switch lock movements will be checked frequently to ensure proper operation. Rule 88. Lock point detector roll rod connections will be maintained in minimum loss motion, inspected, tested frequently, and maintained in the proper adjustment. Rule 89. And corner edge of locking dog rods of switch lock movement of the facing point lock will be maintained will not be more than 1/16 of an inch wear. Rule 90. Pole changer electrical switch operating mechanism will be maintained to ensure the mechanism flows movement of a lever. Rule 91. Point detector will be maintained so that the switch mechanism is locked normally in reverse position. Contacts cannot be made normally. Manually applying force to the switch points in either direction. Contacts will remain open with a 1/4 inch obstruction into which is between the switch point and stock rail approximately 6 inches from the point of which the latch device is not used, and 3/8 of an inch obstruction where the latch out device is used. Rule 92. Mechanical locking will be maintained so that effectiveness and the levers can be operated except in the proper sequence. Rule 93. Driving pieces, dog stops, and trunnions will be properly secured with the locking bar. Swinging dogs will have the fully and free movement. Top plate will be kept in place. Rule 94. Various parts of the locking bed supports, and taps stop rails will be secured rigidly aligned properly to ensure free effective operation. Rule 95. Locking dogs and notches will be examined for wear. Locking faces will be fit squarely against each other. Minimum engagement of at least 1/2 of the design locking face when locked. Rule 96. Locking will be in accordance with the locking sheet and dog chart currently in effect. Rule 97. Excessive loss of motion will be removed from the lever of the latch. The lock is going to be moved more than was shown below. Alright, mechanical machine latch operated locking. The lever latch block can be raised within 3/8 of an inch of the top quadrant. 2. The lever operating lock. When a lever latch block can be moved more than 3/8 of an inch of the top quadrant. B. The electromechanical machine. 1. The lever moving in the horizontal plane when the lever can be moved more than 3/16 of an inch in normal position, 7/16 of an inch in its reverse position. 2. The lever moving in an arc, whether the lever can be moved more than 5 degrees. The power machine latch operated locking when the lever latch block can be raised to be within 3/16 of an inch of the top up of the quadrant. 2. The lever machine moving horizontal plane when the lever can be moved more than 5/16 of an inch when in normal position or 9/16 of an inch in reverse position. 3. The lever moving in an arc when the lever can be moved more than 5 degrees. Alright, Rule 98. An electromechanical interlocking machine locking between the electromechanical levers will be maintained and ensure the mechanical lever cannot be operated except with the properly released by the electrical lever. Rule 99. Latches, shoes, rocker, links, quadrant, mechanicals, electromechanical interlocking machines will be maintained so that the locking will not release if the foot is used on the rocker while the lever is in mid-stroke position. Alright, Rule 100. Rail lock on the movable bridge will be maintained so that it cannot be locked and the rail displayed in 1/4 inch or more from the proper position. Rule 101. Bridge locking movable bridge will be maintained so that it cannot be locked unless the movable members are within 1 inch of the proper position. Circuit controls are operated with the servicing device and movable bridge will be maintained that the circuit breakers will not be completed unless the locking bars are within 1 inch of the proper position. Alright, Section 4, track circuits. Rule 103. Track circuits will be installed and maintained so that the track relay is in a de-energized position, and the track circuit of the automatic train stop of the train control cab signal system will be de-energized in the rear of the point where any of the following conditions exist. A rail is broken or a rail or frog is removed, the train engine or the car occupies any part of the track section, including the foul section, the turnout or crossover. Where the switching shunting circuit is used, the switch is 1, and when the switch is placed in position and not in the proper position. 2, the switch is not properly locked, and when the facing point lock with the control circuit is used. Independent operating fouling point of the derail equipped with the switching control circuit is the misplaced and not derailing position. Rule 104. The track relay at the cut section will, when in de-energized position, open the track energy supply for the adjacent track circuit and in non-coded direct current territory showing the adjacent track circuit. Rule 105. A grade crossing with electrical railroad weather testing indicating presence of foreign current, electrical current, or non-coded direct current track circuit will be connected to feet away from the crossing. Rule 106. The length of any of the track circuits except for the trap circuit will be greater than maximum inner wheelbase for any of the engine or car. Alright, Rule 107. Special circuits shall be installed with a dead section exceeding 35 feet in the shortest wheelbase of an engine. Rule 108. Track circuits will be maintained so that it is properly energized during the wet weather, during the minimum ballast resistance conditions, during dry weather, and maximum ballast resistant conditions. Track circuit will not be over-energized to such an extent that the shunting sensitivity will be decreased below the safe value. Rule 109. Bonding will be maintained in a condition that ensures low resistance. Rule 110. Shunt wires preferably duplicate with provide adequately conductive to ensure the effective shunting will be maintained in good condition. 111. Track connections of the following circuits will be installed and maintained so that they avoid breaks and undue resistance. 112. Circuit breaker with switch circuit controllers connected with the point of the switch located on the main track rather than track equipped with the track circuit not equipped with the facing point lock will be maintained so that when the point is open with a 1/4 inch or more the facing point switch and 3/8 inch more on the trailing switch, the track circuit control switch shall be shunted open or both. Switch circuit control will be securely fastened, contacts kept clean with a minimum resistance, and the contact opening not less than 1/16 of an inch when open. Rule 113. Circuit control operated with the switch and lock movement will be maintained with the contacts remaining closed open both until the locking dog has passed through the lock rod. Rule 114. Insulated rail joints will be maintained in good condition. Drainage provided with the insulation in place of the bolts and tights properly secured and tamped. Rule 115. Circuits will be arranged as to provide with the protection against defective insulation or insulated rail joints. Rule 116. Insulation of pipeline, switch rod, tie rod, gauge plate will be maintained in good condition. Rule 117. Pipeline under the rail will be clear base of the rail at least 1/2 inch. Rule 118. Pipe under the drop away value for the maintained with the limits for the ensured reliable safe operation. Rule 119. Relays will be not tilted, turned over the closer contact. Contact relays over the control device will be not bridged without taking proper measurement to ensure the safe operation of the trains. Rule 120. Voltage of local terminals 2-element alternating current relay will be nearly as possible to the normal voltage at which the relay is designed to operate. Alright, Section 5, pole lines and power supply. Rule 121, pole lines carrying signal circuits will be properly installed and maintained. Wires will be secured, tied onto the insulator. Broken insulators will be replaced. Rule 122, clear space between the lowest overhead single line and conductor and the top of the track rails and points where the freight cars are handled, on the top of which for the men are permitted to stand will not be less than 27 feet of 60 degrees Fahrenheit when there is no wind. Alright, Rule 123, open wire transmission line operating with a voltage at 750 volts more than will not be placed in enclosure than 4 feet above the nearest cross arms carrying signal and communication circuits. Rule 124, battery sufficient capacity for service required to install with suitable housing kept sufficient charge renewed as often as necessary to ensure that safe and reliable operation connections will all be kept clean and cracked from broken jars will be replaced. Rule 125, transformer will be installed in sufficient capacity with the service required with the suitable for the frequency and voltage supply which should be used. Rule 126, lightning arresters will be properly connected with the ground, maintained with the resistance of the ground or not more than 25 ohms. 127, insulated wire with the protective mechanism injury with avoid interference with the proper operation apparatus. Installation will not be punctured for the test purposes. Insulated underground wire will not be spliced and where it can be avoided. Rule 128, insulated wire cable when used aerial will be supported on insulators and suspended from the messenger wire. Rule 129, wires will be identified properly. Tags, instrument mechanism, and terminal cases will be made of the insulating material so that they are placed so that they will not interfere with moving parts of the apparatus. Alright, Section 6, inspection testing of all signal systems. Rule 130. Periodic inspection testing will be made with the ensure the apparatus with the proper conditions, serve with the frequent testing named with the following rules and represent the maximum intervals between the tests. Rule 131, proper instruments will be used with making the test apparatus determination made for the no unsafe conditions are set up to be by application of the testing equipment. Rule 132, general inspection will be made once every 4 years to ensure good physical condition and operation. 133, signal mechanism will be inspected and stayed at intervals to ensure the apparatus is maintained in safe, suitable condition for service. The operating characteristic of all the parts and signal mechanism will be tested in specified periods not less than one each 2 years. Rule 134, switch circuit controllers will be inspected frequently and tested will be made quarterly to ensure they are in good condition. Proper adjustment. Rule 135, following circuits on the switch will be inspected frequently, tests made quarterly to ensure the following wires are intact and the following circuits shunt properly. Rule 136, insulated rail joints will be inspected monthly to ensure that they are in good condition. Rule 137, relays will be tested and interpreted every 2 years in accordance with the test. Specified officer in charge of the relays failed to meet the requirements of specified test will be removed from the service and subject through the test and replaced in service only after the operating characteristics in accordance with the limits within which the relays are designed to operate. Rule 138, lightning arresters will be inspected frequently during the session of the year and lightning occurs. Gas and vacuum types will be tested annually and date of the test recorded. Rule 139, insulation resistant testing will be made when the wire cables, insulation and drive wire cables except for the connected directly with the track relays will be tested in accordance with the following schedule. Wires will be given the special attention necessary removed from the surface. Insulation testing is found to be below and shown the following schedule. A low voltage wire cable with the braided rubber insulation, any part of the underground with the trunking of the test period 5 years, minimum allowable resistance 1 mega ohm. B. Low voltage aerial wire cables were with braided rubber insulation, no part of the which was to be underground or in trunking testing period 8 years, minimum allowable resistance 1 mega ohm. C. Lead sheeted wires and cables, parkway cables with lead sheeted trench lay cables with metal sheath and carrying low voltage circuits test period 8 years, minimum allowable resistance 1 mega ohm. C. Local signal wiring test period 8 years, minimum allowable resistance 1 mega ohm. Lead covered single power cable tested period 8 years, minimum allowable resistance 100 mega ohms between sectionizing switches. 5. Underground signal power lines are not sheeted with the test period of 5 years, minimum allowable resistance 40 mega ohms of the voltage up to and including 500 volts for section tested or into 100 mega ohms between sectionalization switch and the voltage exceeding 500 volts. Or in Section 7, interlocking testing, Rule 140. Complete tests will be made with specified periods not less than frequently than once every 4 years to determine the locking condition to ensure proper function in accordance with the plan currently in effect. Rule 141. Approaching locking will be tested annually to ensure that the after signal has been cleared with the position of the switch derail movable point frog and the route governed by the signal cannot be changed with the approach of the circuit open until the expiration of the predetermined time and interval. Rule 142, time locking will be tested annually to ensure that after the signal has been cleared, the position of any switch derail movable point frog and the remove route governed by the signal cannot be changed until after the expiration predetermined time interval. Rule 143, switching, locking, section, routing, and other type of switch locking will be tested quarterly to ensure that the switch derail movable point frog phase point lock cannot be operated with the train occupying any portion of the protected track circuit. Rule 144, indication of the locking will be tested annually. Sophomore signals annually on the switch of the track lock levers and each 2 years the lit signal as follows. Lock on a single lever to ensure the lever on the latch cannot be placed in normal position until the corresponding home signal indication stop or the approach signal indicates approach. Lock on the switch and lock levers. When the movement is operated with the lock are indicated with the same lever to ensure the lever and switch of the switches and the operative units in the other corresponding position locked before the lever stroke can be completed mechanically lock released. 2. When locked, indicated with the lock lever to ensure the operating lever switches and switches the other operated units and corresponding points before the lock lever can be operated mechanically locking released. Rule 145, traffic locking will be tested annually to ensure the levers of the units changing from the direction traffic to section traffic can be manipulated while the signals is displayed with the train proceeding with the section with any of the part train of the section occupied. Rule 146, switch obstruction tests will be made quarterly to ensure the proper maintenance adjustment of the switch. Rule 147, the electro-pneumatic interlocking valve locks of the valves, the non-cutoff type of the valves, magnets will be tested quarterly to ensure the apparatus and circuits are in proper condition. Rule 148, cross protection will be tested quarterly to ensure the protective device is operated to prevent movement in switches, signals, and other units of the current properly applied to circuits. Rule 149, circuit time relays will be tested and quarterly timely will be to maintain within 10% of the predetermined time arrival. Rule 150, restoring for each of the power switches will be tested quarterly to ensure power will be applied and the power will restore switch movements to full normal and full reverse position. Rule 151, movable bridge locking will be tested specified periods not less than frequency than one each year to ensure the rail lock, bridge locks, bolts, locks, circuit controls, electrical locks are in good condition and are function properly. Section 8, inspection testing of signal transmission lines. Rule 152, pole lines will be inspected in stated intervals to ensure that they are in good condition. Also, Rule 153, all signal transmission lines will be inspected. Regular intervals will be maintained in good physical operation condition. Rule 154, at least one general inspection will be made of the entire line each year. In the fall of the year, recommended for the general inspection for the winter months are the hardest on the lines. When 2 general inspections are made each year, the second inspection will be made in the spring. Rule 155, in addition with the general inspection, periodic inspection, all lines will be made by patrolmen. These inspections will be made in stated intervals as required by the officer in charge. All lines will be patrolled immediately after lighting and windstorm with the purpose of determining the damage was done on the storm. Rule 156, inspectors will inspect the transmission line, transformer, substation, return location full of the details of all defects found. If the lines are not needed for the repairs, the report will state. Defects requiring immediate attention will be reported to the proper officer. Rule 157, during both general and periodic inspection, pole lines will be inspected for the following defects. A. Crossarms, routing, splitting, or twisting, loosened, broken, missing pins, loose or missing braces, insulators, cracked, chipped, or broken. Minute inspection will be made for the cracks. Unscrewed. C. Poles, one broken off, racking, leaking, leaning out of the line 2 feet or more of the top. Woodpecker holes that impair the strength of the pole, hollow rot, sound body of the pole, hollow rot, splitting, effects of lightning, splitting, pulling of the guys, twisting, washing out of the ground, routing ground line, removing the earth from around the pole depth of 3 to 4 inches, using the short bars, hand but spike predetermined depth of which the rot has been penetrated. Or 11. Grass around the base of the poles. All grass, weeds, and other inflammable material will be kept cleared away from the base of the poles from the distance of less than 2 feet, reduced for the fire hazard. 12. Broken slack guys and broken guy insulators, nuts, and often loose any poles. D. The wires broken stands and conductors, broken ground lines loose from support, tire wires broken or burned, short circuit, twisted spans, loosened connections. 9. Defective ground wire will be inspected to ensure that the rigidly supported that it has not been cut at the cross and section reduced by the lineman spur or connection between the ground wire and grounded pipe has not been weakened, corrosion and mechanical injury. 10. Fouling by trees or tree limbs in such a position that they may be touched or blow into the line wires of the tree, which would fall into the wires of the broken off of the ground line. The tree clearing of the lines less than 2 feet underneath and 4 feet on the side, and considered dangerous timber will be so reported. Wires will be kept in clear of the tree with twigs and limbs and other debris. Brushes will be cut in August, September, unless the danger of the brushing fouls the lines before the time. Rule 158, inspection maintenance procedure for the certain pole, lines, fixture, lightning arresters, one pipe, framework, support. Arrestor will be inspected, painted with the graphite necessary. 2. Gaps will be checked, horns will be checked for the loose of the bolts from the position. Checks will be made for the loose ground connection. B. Transformers. 1. Oil will be removed from the tank of the filter. If possible, the walls of the tank and the coils will be cleaned with the flushing of the oil before the tank is refilled. Transformers will be painted. Necessary water cooling coils will be inspected for leaks of the test within 75 pounds of air pressure. Compound oil-filled bushings will be inspected with the cracking, leaking compound. Transformer can be taken out of the surface. The bushings will be cleaned. 5. All oil leaks will be stopped. Tank oil gauges, thermometers, valves will be cleaned. C. Ground wires. An inspection will be made of all the ground connections to the transformer cases. Transformer, secondary wiring, power lighting, arresters. 2. Resistance to all ground wires will be measured. Minimum allowable resistance will be maintained. See Rule 139. Alright, your index table of the rules. And that completes the Technical Manual 55277. Technical Manual 55277. War Department Technical Manual Operation Railroad Maintenance Signals.